A very warm welcome to StudyIQ. I'm Prashant Mamani. I hope you all are doing good, dear friends. The date today is 3rd October 2017. Now, before moving ahead, please allow me to introduce all of you to our pen drive and tablet courses. StudyIQ presents different pen drive and tablet courses for all the exams that you can see on your screen. And if you check out our website, you will find more pen drive and tablet courses options. And for UPSC aspirants, I would like to tell you that the test series is the latest one is out, so do get it as soon as possible. And if you have any further questions or queries regarding this pen drive and tablet courses, all you have to do is give us a call on this number. And by the way, on studyiq.com you will find chat support, so you can utilize that as well if you have any further questions or queries. But don't forget to check it out on our website. Now, dear friends, today we have many important things, and I have a question for you. Identify the person whom you can see on the screen. Let's see how many of you can get it right. And one more thing, that if you find someone has already written the answer, then do not hold yourself back. See, it is a sort of individual connection between you and I, so do take part in the answer, even if someone has written it already. Let's see how many of you can get it right. Right, so today we have important things, so we'll be a bit quick because I have a sort of topic at the end of this discussion that is going to be important for your mains understanding and for geopolitics. So right, so let's start with this one, and this one is coming from Ministry of Agriculture. Now basically there was a meeting, and in this meeting stakeholders, that means the people who are engaged in dealing with this seafood, and the states, different agencies that are dealing with agriculture and seafood and things like that. So there were many departments and many people who came on one platform, and they expressed their concerns regarding the antibiotics, the rising issue, or you can say the rising use of antibiotics in aquaculture. Aquaculture basically means aqua means water and culture means it is a sort of farming, you can say, of this seafood and things like that, fishes and all that things. Now the problem is that antibiotics are seen that the use of antibiotics is rising, and this is not good for the export, because say for example European countries, they are not happy about this antibiotics thing, because all the items that we export, there is a sort of checking on these things. It takes place, and they have found that somewhere between 10% to 50% of items, particularly the shrimps, are containing antibiotics. And here you have two names which are very important. One is nitrofuran or furan, and the second one is chloramphenicol. Remember this two names, nitrofuran and chloramphenicol, because this sort of questions you do find in your prelims examination. A couple of years ago there was a question regarding the death of the vulture in the Nilgiris, and you were supposed to give the answer of the main antibiotic that was the culprit. So this could be asked, who knows, so please keep this thing in mind. Now regarding seafood, India is doing quite well. As you can see, 2016 where the total export was somewhere around $5.78 billion, right, and a year ago it was 4.69. so we can clearly say that there is an increase of 1 billion and 1.09 billion to be precise. Now frozen shrimp are the most exported when it comes to in terms of quantity. Their share is the highest in aquaculture. So this is a very important product that India is exporting, and we are exporting it to European Union, we are exporting it to USA and Southeast Asian countries as well. USA is the biggest importer of seafood from India, and India's target is to get the main export target is 1 lakh crore rupees worth of shrimp export by 2020. This is the target. Now this thing is pertaining to your blue revolution. We have talked about blue revolution and this can provide jobs and things like that. It can help us in economic development, but we have to ensure that we are not destroying the marine biodiversity, so we have to keep that in mind as well. And the other thing is that recently India has launched, still this thing has not been in use yet. It is still a process underway, or the work is in progress, and it is IRNSS, Indian Regional Navigation Satellite System, isn't it? So it is also known as NAVIC, NAVIC. So this is going to help our fishermen to venture in the sea. It will navigate them, and so this is the thing. And drug, or you can say antibiotics, are dangerous. You can see here in India there is a case, we quite often hear about this thing, the chicken, because the poultry owners, they feed their chicken with this antibiotics to keep them healthy and fit, and this are cheap medicines, so they just give them on regular basis, so that or whenever it is required. So with this, they are keeping their chicken healthy. They're making some extra money, but they are playing with the health of other people, because if you cook as well, then you are not going to remove this thing. And what happens is, if you are exposed to this sort of food, then later on there will be a sort of resistance. You're right, you will develop a resistance to antibiotics. So this is very dangerous. So this is a sort of important thing, please keep in mind. And this one as well, the two antibiotics. Right, moving on to another item, Commerce and Industry Ministry, and this is about 8 core industry. Now 8 core industry comprises 40.27%, right? Nearly, you can say somewhere nearby 50%, or nearly half, we can safely say that, right? 40% of index of industrial production. Now if you don't know what is IIP, break this thing down and you will find out. Industrial production, so all the things that we produce in factories and industry, manufacturing sector we are talking about. So this industrial production, and it has its index, so you get the list of the things that are produced in manufacturing sector. So that's industrial IIP, very simple. And here you can see that the base year for calculating this thing is 2011 and 12. This should be again very clear in your mind, the base year. If you find a question in prelims that what is the base year India is using, or when it comes to 8 core industry, then it is 2011-12, and it has been growing. If we observe from April to August this year, then we find that it has grown. The growth rate is 3%, so which is very good, because what we are trying to do as a country is we are trying to migrate as many people from agriculture to industry, or you can say manufacturing. From primary sector, we are trying to migrate these people to manufacturing, and this can provide them regular jobs. And in this way, the problem of underemployment in primary sector and unemployment, overall unemployment, will be reduced, or you can say will be tackled. And here are the 8 core industry. I have a question for you, so I'm not going into detail of this thing. Very simple question, but you have to do a little bit of exercise here. Right, moving on to another item, President's Secretariat. Now this is important. President has appointed a commission to examine the subcategorization of other backward classes, right? Subcategorization of OBCs. Now the person who is going to run this commission is Justice retired G. Rohini. And what is the main aim? The main aim is here to ensure that the most backward among the OBC, right? Remember, among the OBC there are other backward classes, and within this other backward classes, this commission will find out who are more backward within this group, and then they will be this commission will examine they will identify these people and why they are backward, etc., etc. and the mechanism it will use would be, there are like, it will work out the commission mechanism and criteria and things like that. Of course it would be scientific, and once it is done, then it will provide its findings to central government, and then central government will consult with all the people, relevant stakeholders, and then it will decide whether it should go ahead with it or not. Remember, whenever there is any sort of committee, may it be appointed by president or anyone else, the findings are never mandatory, right? It is not necessary that president has appointed a committee, so now the government has to follow it. No, government can reject all the findings or whatever is the outcome of this sort of commission. So keep this in mind as well. And Ministry of Health in Kerala, basically the phase 2 of immunization, national immunization program has started, and the main aim here is to eradicate measles by 2020. So because of that, measles rubella vaccine drive is on in Kerala, and it is not only about Kerala we are talking about. We are talking about the whole nation. So that means that measles and rubella are still prevalent. So if you find a question that whether you find measles or rubella, then the answer is yes. The other thing is that measles and rubella vaccine, they are mandatory for children between 9 months and 15 years. Don't confuse yourself here with 9 months and 15 months or 9 years and 15 years. No, it's 9 months and 15 years. So please keep this in mind as well. And we have to immunize 41 crore children in our country from these things. And last thing, and this is important for your mains examination, this is the topic I was talking about. Now, President Nath is going to visit Djibouti and Ethiopia. This is going to be his first overseas visit after becoming president. And this is for the first time that at this level, like a head of a state or government from India is visiting Djibouti. So of course Djibouti would be looking forward to this meeting, and we are also looking forward to it. And let me show you the map. Here is the Africa, and here you have two countries of Ethiopia and Djibouti. Now, as you know very well, that what I would request you to pause this video here for a couple of seconds and do help yourself in finding Djibouti and Ethiopia. Once you locate them, then you can play this video back again. Right, please do this exercise, and your time starts now. Now I believe that you would have done this small sort of exercise, and many of you would be successful in finding this two countries, Djibouti and Ethiopia. This is Ethiopia here, and a very tiny country here is Djibouti. Now let's start with Ethiopia. See, Ethiopia is a country. You can see that it is the 5-degree north, so is passing from it. So you can safely say that it is quite close to, isn't it? It is very nearby Tropic of Equator. The other thing about Africa is that it is the only continent in which you find Tropic of Cancer, you find Tropic of Equator, and Tropic of Capricorn. All these three important lines. So this whole part of Africa, if you observe it from here, then this portion of Africa is in tropical zone, and particularly this part is in equatorial zone. So you find all the jungles and things like that over here. Biodiversity is quite high in this part of Africa because of its location. Now there are other things, as you know. You can it's easy to say that you find Indian Ocean over here, you find South Atlantic, North Atlantic over here. It is basically the same water, but we have divided it, we have given a different name to it. So keep this in mind. You will also find a prime meridian line passing from the line that we use for time, or GMT as well it is known as. So this is the one, prime meridian, 0-degree longitude, that is passing from Africa. So this is important thing as well. So please keep all these things, and do spend some more time after it. You can look at Red Sea and Mediterranean and things like that. Right, moving on to Ethiopia. As you can see that it is a country in Africa. Its capital is Addis Ababa, and you find Great Rift Valley here, and you have Ethiopian highlands. So here you will find mountains. Then Ogaden Desert is located here, and then you have Danakil Depression over here, and you can see Djibouti is a country that is sharing border with Ethiopia. Apart from that, there are other countries. A couple of days ago we were talking about South Sudan, and so this is South Sudan over here. And do spend some time after this thing. Of course, you want to be asked names of these names of the cities of this place. But the good thing is that you can locate which are the countries that are sharing border with this thing, because now as president is going to visit this place, it becomes important, right? India, that indicates that India is taking these countries very seriously, because it is president's first overseas visit. Now this is Djibouti right here. From this picture you can see this is Ethiopia here, and a very tiny country here called Djibouti. But tiny, but the location of Djibouti is on a very important place. Here is Bab al-Mandeb. So Bab al-Mandeb is a passage or a strait, and Strait of Bab al-Mandeb, and you can see here you have Red Sea and you have Gulf of Aden, and here you have Yemen, and the city of Aden is here. That's why it is known as Gulf of Aden. Now some important items is that for geopolitical significance, this portion here, right, this portion here is known as Horn of Africa. It looks like a horn. If you observe here, see, it looks like a horn, isn't it? So that's the reason why it is known as Horn of Africa. And in terms of geopolitics, this place is very important place, and it is one of the most pivotal region because it connects Mediterranean Sea. From here you can reach Red Sea via Suez Canal, and from Suez Canal you have to pass through this place called Bab al-Mandeb if you want to enter Indian Ocean. So in that term it is very important, and you have Djibouti, and this area is also having some sort of conflicts as well. And at present we don't have embassy in this Djibouti. We don't have any embassy, but earlier, if we talk about geopolitics, then British used to look after this whole portion. They took over this part of the world somewhere around 1839 or 1840, and it was East India Company at that point of time. And later on, the British Raj, or the British government, they took over, of course they took over the charges, and they looked after this area for another 100 years. So we are talking about somewhere around 1940s, and it was under its control. And they used to believe, and that is right as well, that if you control this part, Djibouti and other areas like Yemen, then you will ensure the security of the subcontinent of India. So in this term it is important, and so far we have neglected this area, but now India is getting serious about this thing, and hopefully with this visit new doors will open. With this discussion, dear friends, I end this lecture here, and I have a couple of questions for you guys. Please help yourself with it. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and pass your comment. With this I end this discussion. I'll see you all soon. Till then, Jai Hind. For overall geopolitics of the world, Ministry of Agriculture, this one is regarding, there was a meeting, and this meeting was basically held by people who are engaged in this